Welcome back, you guys. It is Sunday afternoon. And as we all know, over the past month now, the Lamar Jackson saga still continues as we label this stream called NFL has drawn the line. And what I mean by the NFL has drawn the line, they seem like they've drawn the line between player and the shield and the owners. Lamar Jackson is a worldwide talent, first off. That's the first question. Um, is Lamar Jackson worth $250 million fully guaranteed? Now, when we say that, obviously we know Deshaun Watson just got paid last year at $230 million plus, fully guaranteed, which was a substantial amount of money when it comes to a NFL player getting paid that type of money. But the most important thing, it was fully guaranteed. Now, yes, we did see fully guaranteed contracts here and there with Kirk Cousins being one of the first players to do it, which is awesome. But it wasn't at the amount of what Lamar Jackson is seeking to get from the Baltimore Ravens. Let's dive back and talk about Lamar Jackson, where he started, where he is currently, and what local fans that I've interviewed over the past couple of weeks and I've spoken to about the Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens situation. As we all know, Lamar Jackson came in the league out of Louisville. He was the last pick in the first round from the Baltimore Ravens, but the Baltimore Ravens had to trade back up into the first round to grab him. So obviously, Ozzie Newsome, as we all know, the general manager of the Baltimore Ravens at the time, saw something in him and his talents. So fast forward 3 years later, Lamar Jackson go ahead and wins his first MVP. Dominated his division. Obviously, this is before Joe Burrow came into play. This is the Baker Mayfield was going on right about almost the same time as well. But he didn't. The team didn't seem to wrap him up with an extended deal after he won the MVP. Maybe due to the fact because of his short successes in the playoffs. Now, we all say that playoffs do get paid and people do get paid for the playoff success, but also the regular season does play a part. There were a lot of questions on Lamar Jackson when it came to the type of player he was going to be. As we circle back to when there were discussions of him possibly being a wide receiver, and certain teams wanted him to play wide receiver and not his traditional position, which is quarterback. Due to the fact of the speed, the scramble first method is what he would do once the pocket broke down, and he saw a lot of success with that. He stuck to his guns, and he decided to, say, hey, I only plan on playing quarterback. Good on him, because he did that. Going into his second year in the NFL, there were a lot of questions on, can he be a pocket passer? I remember the first game in Miami. He threw for over 5 TDs. And at exit interview during that game, he was like, do you guys believe I can pass now? Which he did. Had a great season that year. Fell short again. 2019 season, obviously wins the MVP. Did a great job there. And then we look at his past 2 years and where Lamar Jackson sits right now. Hasn't finished 2 seasons in a row. Like Shannon Sharp and everyone says, availability is the best available to have when you're a star quarterback or wanting to be a franchise quarterback for a particular franchise. I've been really, really hard on Lamar, and I always have. My stance is on it that he's injury prone, and unfortunately, getting injured the year prior, towards the end of the season, getting injured this year as well. Prior to him going down, he lost to Jacksonville. My team, made that comeback. And we talk about sometimes how the team sputtered to struggle to score points. Now, it's not just on Lamar, and I'm not calling Lamar like, hey, like that was his thing. No, he maybe it was the offensive coordinator. I don't think anybody really knows, but when they say that he doesn't have help, uh, Baltimore's always been big on drafting talent, developing it, and putting it on the field. But if we look at what they did have, they had AJ Hollywood Brown, which is one of his best friends that wanted to play with him. But what I've always found either not strange but fascinating is a lot of top tier wide receivers voice out, hey, I want to play with this person. And I feel like they don't worry about the schematics of how that can be done. Now, we can look at Devontae Adams' situation on him going to go play with Derek Carr, because that's who he wanted to play with because he was tired of Aaron Rodgers. Now, I'm not sure if he was tired of Aaron Rodgers throwing him touchdowns. I think it was more or less of the uncertainty that evolved around Aaron Rodgers and how that went. So Devontae Adams said, hey, trade me to the Raiders. Packers did that. They said, hey, thanks for the great seasons that you did give us. And that happened there. And now we see Derek Carr on another team. So when they talk about not enough help, I'm not sure if Lamar can attract those type of Amari Coopers, Devontae Adams, a DJ Moore, a Zay Jones, a Justin Jefferson type of receiver to go want to play with him. I think that should say a lot. I mean, yes, Lamar's a class talent. There are a lot of things that he's private about, but the tape doesn't lie. I mean, he can throw the ball, he can do those great things, but can he actually carry a team to a Super Bowl? Do you believe, as a casual fan like we all are, can he wield a team to a Super Bowl? Paying Lamar Jackson $200+ million definitely leaves that team strapped for cash. It leaves them hurting for being able to sign players, free agency, and things like that. So when we look at those type of things and taking that much money, is that what's most important to you? And yes, I get it. You guys play a very violent sport. You guys want to be compensated for what you guys bring to the table. Totally understand. I get it. But at the end of the day, it's to win the Super Bowl. Every team can go in there and say, hey, I want to win the Super Bowl. Just like Doug Peterson told Jacksonville, hey, I plan on playing in January and February. Well, we played all the way till January. That's just how that went. But I believe if we had given, if Trevor Lawrence was up for a contract extension and wanted that type of money, it wouldn't have allowed the team to go get the talent that they did go get, not just during the offseason, but during the trading deadline as well. So it's like I say, Lamar Jackson, what is most important to you? First off, is it winning? Because that's what 90% of you guys say. Winning is the most important thing. Or is it the money? Now, I think Chad Ochocinco said it the best. When you get to a point where your name is worth more than anything else, then you've made it. Now, the downside to Lamar's situation is not finishing the 2 seasons back to back doesn't help his scenario. The AFC now is a lot stronger than where it was 2 years ago. And when I say that, him coming off his MVP season, going to the COVID year that they did have, minimal practices, things like that, doesn't help. But from 2019 to now, the conference is 20 times deeper than what it was when he first came to Baltimore. If you look at Trevor Lawrence, if you look at possibly Deshaun Watson now having a full offseason with the Browns and Amari Cooper and those players there. If you look at the Steelers, you can never count Steelers first off because they're in your division. Second off, Mike Tomlin's going to try to put the best team out there with Kenny Pickett and that team there. If you look at Tua, even with Tua's concussion issues in history, they're still a valid team and they're still a dangerous team to be reckoned with. If you look at the Bills with Josh Allen and that team there, and they're consistently putting more talent around him. If you look at Joe Burrow and the Bengals and what they continue to put around him, except for their running back situation right now with Joe Mixon that we've talked about a couple times here. And also, too, if you look at Patrick Mahomes, if you look at Russell Wilson now with Sean Payton, if you look at the Chargers with their new offensive coordinator with Moore, with Justin Herbert, you look at Jimmy Garoppolo going back to an offense that he knows, like with Josh McDaniels. Now, Josh McDaniels now has no other excuses to say, hey, I don't have my guy, or my guy doesn't understand the playbook, because now he does have that guy. And those are just, we just rattle off 8 to 10 people. Now, if you can sit there and say, Lamar Jackson, you are worth $250 million due to the fact of what you have brought to the table originally. I don't know if you win your division at this point moving forward. I don't see the Ravens winning their division next 3 years. I think Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor have a great platform. I think they have a great team that's assembled. I think they're just going to have to really look at how they move going forward. But I think the Lamar situation with the NFL, they have said, hey, you have to have some type of representation. We all know that he doesn't want to pay the excessive millions of dollars that agents do get. But I believe it hinders your job of being able to get the most amount of money that makes sense. Not just to you, but to the organization. They serve as a buffer. They serve as people that can talk to other organizations, because there is a league policy that states that you have to have some type of representation that is backed and certified by the NFL. Now, this is the interesting part about this, due to the fact because Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson has said, hey, my mother is my representation. Now, I don't know anything about his mother. I don't pretend to know that I do. But here's what I can applaud to LeBron James on this point here. The individuals of his inner circle, he made sure they all got educated. Rich Paul now represents LeBron James and Anthony Davis and other professional athletes due to the fact that he is an agent, and now has clients that are players that he's known for years. I think if Lamar would have said, hey, within your inner circle, if that was your plan to not have anybody outside of your inner circle represent you, then they should have took the 4 to 5 years that they did have on the head start once you decided to start making these millions of dollars by playing football, and getting them educated and say, we have to come up with a plan because I plan on you representing me, and being able to keep all that in-house. Unfortunately, that wasn't done. Lamar, you were missing a lot of money, and you could retire today and probably be perfectly fine. But what I see what you're trying to do, which is trying to change the landscape, and they say rage against the machines, like Robert Griffin III said. But with that, is it in your best interest? Because we all know negotiations, you have to be at the strength of power or a strength of advantage against that other individual. And what we can say is your current body of work that you've currently put on the field does not command $250 million. Now, they talk about desperate teams that need a quarterback, and why aren't they making the calls? Because if you think about it, between this quarterback draft class and next year's quarterback draft class, will Lamar Jackson be or considered still a top-tier quarterback? That means he'll only be maybe 28 years old. And yes, it is his prime. But will there be a team wanting to take a shot on him? Now, that's scary to say due to the fact because he was a unanimous MVP in 2019. But if you're an owner, are you willing to cap your team to a contract that you know you can't get out of, almost like the Denver Broncos? But the only advantages with Denver Broncos are they were able to change their head coach that has cachet and that has a Super Bowl championship that can coach. So, when we say those things, Lamar, do you have the right people around you? Or the people around you, are they all saying, are they yes men or just people? Because what I can sit here and tell you is you want the people that's going to tell you the truth when you don't want to hear it. You want the people that are going to challenge you. And when I say challenge you, I say to make you better in a way that you don't know how far you can go. Yes, you are a phenomenal athlete. Yes, they have given you everything. And I understand. You're frustrated with the tweets, with the talks, with everything. But at the end of the day, like, you don't have to respond to anybody. But on top of that, you don't have the representation that you possibly would need to battle this. You're trying to do it yourself, which I applaud you for. But what makes you qualified to represent yourself to $1 billion organization to say, I want to represent myself? Because at the end of the day, you're still a player. And they're going to always see you and treat you as a player. It's different when you're an agent and you have certain people in your pocket and you know what they can and can't do or say. But maybe you can find an agent that's going to always have their best interest for you. Now, I know it's hard to say and it's hard to view because of your inner circle, but do you think it's worth it? Are you going to sign your offer sheet at $32 million on exclusive tag? Or are you going to continue to draw it out? Because if you draw it out, I don't think it works benefit for either one of the organizations, but really morally you, because your brand needs to be protected. Your brand needs to be shown that, hey, you're a team player. Because from what I have seen and have heard and have talked to people, casual fans, they're not happy. They're okay if you leave. And maybe to you, you're like, okay, cool, whatever. But you're not bigger than the team. You are not bigger than the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens will always be there. Before, while, and after you exit the NFL, unfortunately. I applaud your take 100%. But we have to be real, and we have to do what's best for you and the organization at the same time. So, if you think Lamar will sign his offer sheet, when do you think he'll sign his offer sheet? Or do you think he's really worth $250 million? Fully guaranteed is what he wants. Are you willing to command that? Because I'm not. You let us know down in the comments on what your guys' thoughts are on the Lamar Jackson situation. And will he be a Baltimore Raven come next year? I'm your host, JT. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Hit that like button. Hit those comments and let us know. We are new to the platform of the Rumble at Jive Turkey 65, as well, still on YouTube, and the podcast Bean as well too. Let us know.